What's up, and welcome to episode 21 of Brewing Through the Multiverse. There we go.
We made it.
How we doing, man?
Doing well. Our podcast can drink now, which is awesome. So congratulations,
Yes.
brewing.
Yes. What is it? We could go to war on episode 18, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Can't rent a
crazy.
car for another 4 episodes, but that's fine.
That'll do. What is it? You also can't go to a Dave and Buster's until you're 25 also, right? Is that
Really?
true? I think to be to just be a bunch of 21-year-olds going to Dave and Buster's, I don't know if you're allowed. I could be making
Okay.
that shit up though, but
No, we're saying it as fact. That's what's happening.
yeah. Yeah, very it's true. Law. It's law. But how you been, man? Have you been playing any Magic? Were you able to get any games in on any
I have
format?
had a sadly Magic Light week and seemingly weeks. I'm sad that we can't get it together for Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I did end up getting fourth for Saturday. So it's going to be Keldon, Nick, and Troy.
Oh wow, Troy back out of the retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. I called him up. I was like, we need you in here. And he's like, I got you, coach.
Aha.
So it should be a lot of fun. He's building the Gitrog monster. He's going to
Like
put that
CEDH?
together. Uh, I don't, I doubt, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very budget version. I know he's, thinned out his collection a little bit. So we'll see. We'll
Oh
see how he
shit, not
goes with
only
it.
is he playing, he's building new decks. That's awesome.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to get everyone together. I'm excited to play some weird stuff. So actually, this is a perfect time to talk about my Fallout build update. Um, none of the fucking cards came. I'm not going to be able to play it this weekend. It sucks.
The update is terrible.
Oh yeah, man. Like I ordered G10 liners for my knives on Tuesday. I got them. Yet Magic cards just can't make their way to me after a week. So
Yeah, man. It's lame. A lot of companies are slack. Though I have heard a USPS has slowed down in the past few years. Lots of budget cuts and whatnot.
but again, I got my G10. Well, although I don't know where the liners could have literally come from, this state. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're right. You're right. First world problems over here. My Magic cards didn't come within a week.
Actually, on my side of things, I was surprised that I didn't think I was going to touch the Caesar deck, but that's actually the deck that I'm the most excited to kind of edit. I got
Ooh.
a fourth Eornglias. I don't know how to say it. The Lord of the Rings card that's Boros and X, and you make that many 2/2 trample haste tokens.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, that card's bonkers.
All right. Just tokening out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, but so I got that going for that, so I'm excited to kind of zhuzh that a little bit more.
All right. Yeah. I wish I could have played all of them. I know that time has passed for us, so we'll find other
I
ways to
haven't
play it.
actually
But
changed out any cards for any of them yet.
yeah,
I could
but
I could leave them the same.
you're not obligated to, man. Get that build on. I get
All
it.
right, we'll see. We'll see
Upgrade them.
what
Upgrade them.
happens.
Yeah. I do want to say too is Keldon texted me today a picture of, I guess he got the My Little Pony Secret Lair,
Yeah.
and he ended up as his secret foil that comes in the extra card was Discord Lord of Disharmony, which is a Rakdos pony.
Yep.
I want to read this to you because this text. Have you heard about this card or anything?
I actually saw this on Reddit.
Okay. Wild that any random. Okay, let me read it. At the beginning of your end step, choose a random non-land magic card name. Until your next end step, you may cast a copy of a spell with that name and mana of any type to cast it. If you cast a spell this way, copy this ability if Discord is on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So,
So actually, I wanted to bring this up, which is funny that you did because you know how you were mentioning that you wanted to build Rainbow Dash.
yeah.
This is I would build this in a heartbeat.
Oh my god. Okay, that's so funny. But now, so me and Keldon were talking about it, and immediately we are like, build it like strionic resonator tribal, and just see how many times it can go off each turn,
Yeah.
and then, but okay, so we had the whole talk. Okay. Then I realized like you should, before you even think about building it, run a card randomizer a few times and
And
make
see what
sure
you
that, yeah, make sure that it's worth it, because most cards in Magic are trash.
trash,
So
absolutely, but that's the most fun thing about it. Um, Actually, on the Reddit thread where I saw it, I believe someone did post a Scryfall link that does achieve that like goal of just any non-land Magic card that's legal in Commander at random. And oh man, I'm trying to remember what card I got first. But actually, within my first three like spins, I ended up getting something that I was like, this would have been incredible. It was like I think it was one of the red like wipe everything spells, like obliteration. I forget what it's called, or maybe it's annihilation. But you know what I mean, that red that's like destroy all lands, destroy all creatures.
yeah, World Fire or something, isn't that one of them?
Yeah, an effect like that, or you know what I mean. But so I was like, God damn. So that's a lot of fun. Most of the
Yeah,
time, you're gonna get like a shitty common that just doesn't
yeah,
do a goddamn thing. But I just feel like that's fun.
yeah, yeah. It can be fun, or it could be very disheartening, just whiffing after whiff. Oh, good, I get two gates. Nice. All
They're
right, I
not
got another
lands, not
defender.
lands, not lands.
I got an
Oh, a gate
enchantment
isn't
that
like a
hurts me.
defender. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, it could be it could be a horrible time. So just as excited as I was to see that, and Keldon talking about it, and just be very careful, because I love random, but the
Yeah,
entirety
that's
of
the
Magic
most
random.
ran. Oh, I found the link. I found the link. So let's do
Okay,
let's do three spins and see what we get.
hit it.
All right, first spin. We're loading now.
I
I
think
wish we had,
Scryfall has a card randomizer button where you just hit show me a random card also.
but I think like you. I guess it would, but it could show you like non-commander legal or non-lands.
Oh, okay. I got you.
All right, so the first card I got was Savala's Charge, which is 4 and a green for a sorcery with Parlay. Each player reveals the top card of his or her library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you put a 3/3 elephant creature onto the battlefield. Then each player draws a card.
Okay, and you would get a second copy if you still had out Discord, so
Which is
that would be pretty
awesome.
good.
All
All
right,
right.
second spin. Pious Interdiction, which is 3 and a white for an aura. ETB, you gain 2. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, so it's pacifism.
Okay.
Not the worst. And then the
Yeah, I
last
mean,
roll,
not bad.
last roll. Wingspan Mentor, 2 and a blue. New Capenna card. When for a human wizard with a 1/3, whenever Wingspan Mentor enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on target non-human creature you control. You can pay 2 and tap it to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with flying.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it's whatever. But honestly, not bad. 3 cards that
Yeah.
would have been great.
Yeah. And the
Great.
thing is to take advantage of, getting that, either the cast to trigger a few more times, or get a few more triggers of that. That way you can cast multiple cards at random. So yeah, it's got potential.
I think it'd
It
be
took me off
fun.
guard. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Hey, get in there. But interesting. And it's a $40 card. That's a nice little chunk of change just sitting in the back of a secret lair box.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, so I started mentioning something before we logged on, and I figure this is worth mentioning to everybody.
Absolutely.
I wasted a draft entry. So I took a draft, and my first few rares were, let's see, let me pull this up actually so I could just say what we got here. So my first rare was actually Niv Mizzet the Guild pack. That's right. My first pack, I just picked it because it was a rare. There's nothing else really good. I ended up kind of falling into a Selesnya build for that first pack, and then my second pack was an Izzet card, that Kylox's Volt Strider.
Hmm.
So I picked that and I was like, okay, maybe I'll build that. And I had no good build for it at the end of the second pack. And now I've wasted first pack, second pack. I'm stuck on my third pack. And it ended up being ill-timed explosion, which was also is it. So I'm like, all right, I'll go is it. But realizing I have no real good creatures, I have no nothing. So I just went full 5 color. Figured I'd try to get Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, just make it work.
Didn't even really think that Niv Mizzet's only good if you have a bunch of 2-colored spells.
Yes.
So like at the end of the day, I literally have a pile of non-functioning cards of very, very explicit costs, and I have a bunch of basic lands in the deck. And
Huh.
my first game I played, I just died before I even got to do anything. They had a tight Boros synergy, and I died. So
You mean your 5 color jank pile isn't enough
yeah,
to,
yeah,
to
I
get
wasn't
you
able to
there?
get all 5 colors by turn 3. It was crazy. I don't know what's going on. And it's terrible to say that because literally the second half of this episode is going to be me just telling you how to build magic decks. So,
Hell yeah.
oh
You can be
shit,
great in one and not the best in another.
that's it. Yeah, listen, yeah, I'm impulsive and that hurts me, but I can see potential in magic cards. So, hey, man, you gotta get drafting. You gotta get some drafts in. Murders is a good draft. Okay, let's cut into the MaRo list. I don't know if you've looked through it yet or seen what he mentioned about
No,
Thunder
I only
Junction.
saw that that it was up. I haven't actually looked into it.
Okay, perfect. So let's go over this here. So here are the things that we can expect. A new batch of 5 related creature types.
Okay, we know what that is.
Do we?
Yeah, it's outlaw and it's assassins, rogues, warlocks, 2 other things.
Oh, all right, cool. Outlaws. I like it.
Yeah, that's the outlaws grouping.
Okay, next is a card capable of returning 3 different card types from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I love card recursion. All the more reason to stay focused on exiling things from graveyards.
Yeah, graveyards are becoming more and more. I mean, they always have been, but just like the rest of your hand, essentially.
Yeah, but it's real big. Like uh, graveyard removal is almost as important as creature removal right now. It's crazy. The next one is a mechanic players have been asking us to do for many years gets made as the setting was the perfect place to finally do it. I'm going to
So
assume that might be crime.
actually, so I've seen that I've seen that people are speculating that that could be people have asked for mount before, which I don't know what the
Mount.
hell mount would be, but maybe it's like a creature like equipment kind of like where you can put like a creature on top. I mean, I guess it's kind of like banding
Or
or
bestow.
bestow, yeah. Though I think the joke is that like it's like banding where, that has a whole bunch of weird rules interactions with how the creatures fuse, but something where like the 2 creatures like work in tandem.
Oh, okay. I wonder why this would be the right set for it. I
Wild
mean, I
West
guess
riding
mounts would also.
horses.
I guess. But oh man, maybe you could just mount anything, like just Rakdos mounting Fibblethip.
Yeah,
I don't know. Oop.
sounds like my ex-wife.
All right, so the next one is I'm curious. I want to guess from you. Dual lands with a land subtype that have never been on dual lands before.
So
What would
I
this
feel like
be?
I'm cheating. Did you see any of the leaked cards?
No, just the few that were spoiled last week.
Oh no, yeah. So like I think like 3 packs worth of cards from a pre-release kit got opened and leaked like a week or like within the past week or two. So I actually know some of these just because of the leaked cards.
Okay, so then I'll take a guess. Is
Yeah,
it
you
desert?
guess. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Is it
Oh yeah,
desert?
it's desert, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And
This is perfect for it.
I believe when these lands come out, they do enter tapped. They don't have land types beyond desert, but I think that they deal 1 damage to your opponent.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Does that make that desert? commander more viable? The one
Yeah,
that makes
has
aggressive
Zazon?
zombies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Good. All right. So a new modal mechanic that introduces something different to think about.
I have no idea. I
Okay.
love modal
Yeah.
spells though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always good to see. Next is a card that can swap or exchange control of up to 3 different card types.
Okay.
Now, I love to run Role Reversal. It's one of my favorite little gotcha cards where someone plays something big and I give them a trash little piece of, an enchantment that I have
Yeah,
for
I've
their
been
big
blown out
enchantment
by
or a
that
creature for creature.
before.
I love that. So the fact that you can do like a full swap on 3 different types, that's awesome. A creature token that has an ability no creature token has ever had before.
Okay.
So it has to be some existing thing. I mean, and they make a lot of tokens, so that could be anything. I don't know. A typal card for skeletons and zombies,
Cool.
which is nice. I say that's good for Pioneer. I know
Yeah.
there's a skeleton deck in Pioneer that people just aren't playing, and maybe this will help. Okay, and then we have a list of the creature tokens in the set. We have White Sheep, Blue Bird, Black Vampire Rogue, Red Mercenary, Green Varmint,
Okay.
White Ox, White Spirit, Blue and Black Zombie, Red Dino, White Angel, Green Elk, Red Scorpion Dragon, Green
Word.
Elemental, and a Blue Ox. A lot of tokens.
Lots of tokens.
A lot of tokens. I like the Green Varmint.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like what was something dragon, like a wait with
The dragon. There's a Red Scorpion Dragon.
there, yeah, that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah. Better have Death Touch. Oh no, it's
Yeah, or
red.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
First strike?
Hmm. There you go. Yeah. Maybe you can give it Death Touch if you pay something. Maybe that'll
That'd
be
be
it.
cool.
This is Scorpion. You gotta have that. Now, is it flying? It's got it, right? Dragon.
Yeah, it's Scorpion Dragon. Imagine that. That'd be terrifying.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Well, I'm excited to see it. They start showing cards Monday, right?
Yeah, soon. It's got to be soon.
Okay. Yeah. So when Thunder Junction comes out, we hit our critical mass of standard, right? Because Bloomborough is the rotation.
You're yeah, I think so.
Okay. Um, let's see what actually leaves with rotation. Because my understanding, um,
Good old what'sinstandard.com shout out.
oh my God, yeah, do it. I went to the wrong website. Hit us. What leaves?
uh, we're losing in quarter 4 of 2024. Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow, Kamigawa and Capenna.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, 4
Oh,
sets.
okay, man. All right.
Next
I thought.
year is Damu, Brothers War, Phyrexia, March of the Machines, Aftermath. So that means we have another full year of Children.
Okay, that's fine. I guess. I don't know. Fuck. I thought more was going. Honestly, I should have looked. But all right, so this will be the Thunder Junction will be the last one before this rotation happens. Now, I have been playing a ton of standard. I love where it's at. I keep on saying it's great. I keep on building new stuff. And I decided this week to really look into what could potentially be standard staples that can be built around after rotation. There's a lot of stuff leaving between this year and next year. Now, some of these builds that I mentioned, some of these cards are, will have cards in some of the sets that are rotating. So take advantage of it. We still have a bunch of months. But I tried to keep focused on the past 3 or 4 sets for most of the cards in order to have the longevity of what I'm saying and give these cards that I'm mentioning the potential to get a little bit more play than what they're seeing right now. So I have a long list here, and the way I kind of really broke it down was for each deck that I mentioned, there is a star of the deck, the build around, and then there is a helper card that will pair up with this card to get it to a power that can run a deck. My son is waving at me. Hello. So I started out with some decks that I might have mentioned before, something that I have tried personally and I really think is good. And I'm going to throw out each deck a few options and see whether you would play it, you think it's going to be powerful enough, or if you can easily say, hey, I don't think that, these cards are going to do anything.
Gotcha.
So my first one that I want to mention is the Disguise deck. I like the build as just Rakdos in order to keep it tight. You can add that green for that Yaris card, but I'm going to just stick it for Rakdos. I want to give you guys a bare bones plan, and then you build it as you want. But if you are doing Disguise, Pyrotechnic Performer is clearly the most powerful of them. It is 1 in a red for a 3/2 with Disguise, and the Disguise cost is 1 red. Whenever Pyrotechnic Performer or another creature you control is turned face up, that creature deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So when you flip her, so it'll be, you get her out disguised, you flip her, it's going to deal 3 damage. The card that I think pairs with it the best is Hunted Bone Brute. It is a 2 in a black, 6/2 with Menace. Just great stats. Its disguise cost is only 1 in a black, which is a cheap cost to flip. And if Pyro is out, you're flipping this and dealing 6 damage just by flipping it. It also has Menace, so there's a good chance you can hit it again. So 12 damage for the 2 mana you put into flipping this. 3 also to disguise it. So let's say 5 mana to deal 12 damage. If you cast it from hand, it's going to give your opponent 2 white dogs. So it's important to, if you are building this, make sure you're disguising it. Now, if you want to disguise as cheap as possible, the 1-drop that you're running with this is Goblin Mask Maker, which is a 1-drop 1/2, which is so great that it's a 1/2 toughness. That 2 mana, that 2 toughness is huge right now. It's huge. And it says whenever it attacks, face down spells you cost this turn cost 1 less to cast. Normally you can get 2 triggers off of this. The first one you're able to swing through because they only dropped a 1/1. You get to drop your Pyro turn 2, and then turn 3, sacrifice it. Try to call their bluff. Swing with it again. You'll get the trigger automatically. That way, your face down card will be cheaper. And there's a good chance that they won't block it because you haven't cast anything yet. People are getting nervous. Maybe he has a pump spell. I'll take that 1 damage again. And then you get to cast the Bone Brute. So Goblin Mask Maker is huge, and it's a great little blocker for turn 1.
Okay. So it's turn 1. Ideally, you're playing. I'm assuming you're playing 4 of Mask Maker.
Yes.
Okay. So turn 1, it's that. Turn 2, you're 4 of Pyrotechnic. I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay. And then turn 3. Now on turn 3, are you looking to? I guess you're gonna flip up the Pyromancer and play the Bone Brute. Like that's the optimal turn 1, 2, 3.
The turn 3 is just casting the Bone Brute disguise, face down for 2, and leave that 3rd mana, that 1 red, open for at the end of their turn.
Okay, so you like to leave it as a face down 2/2.
Right. So at the end of their 3rd turn, you just have 2 2/2s face down. They have the ward, so they're protected. They don't know what to do about it. Then at the end of their turn, you flip the Pyro. It deals a 3 damage. And then on turn 4, you flip the other one. It deals another 6 damage. So that's 9 damage. And then you swing at them for 15 damage.
That's pretty fucking huge.
Yeah. And
that's a fast clock.
Yeah. And the last part of it is Bone Brute also says on it, when it dies, each opponent loses 3 life. So if you do the 15 damage, but you got to think the Goblin also hit 2 times. So that's 17 damage. and the Bone Brute dies and they lose.
Yeah.
So I love this deck. I love playing it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think build it any way you want. Add another color, find other cards. So
What would you
my son's
say?
looking at me. Go away. Oh,
Do do
great content here.
do. Great
Go, but
content.
buddy,
We're
I'm
just
recording.
doing the
Go.
thing.
Yes, just don't shoot it. Don't shoot
Don't
it.
shoot whatever that is, little man. Don't do that.
I don't have time to supervise you. Go, just don't shoot it.
Take the gun and shoot.
Yeah, this is Pennsylvania, baby.
Mhm.
This is what we do. No, he wants to pull his bow out. He's not going to draw it or anything. He just wants to hold it.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so colors, builds. Any questions on this one?
That's the entirety of it, right?
Yeah, I just want to give
like
the
the
basics.
workaround. Yeah. What would you say you struggle with here? Because from what you're describing, it sounds like it's very fast. You don't care really what they're playing because by turn 4 you're already threatening like huge. So huge like damage from multiple ways. What do you find issues with? Do you find
Board
people
wipes.
typically use the removal, or is it just board wipes running rampant? Like what would this the downfall be?
Yeah, it's board wipes. The good thing about it is, you're not televising what you're doing, so they don't really know how to handle it. But if they just see 2/2s and they give a board wipe, it kind of stops you. If you can't get anything flipped, you know. But they could also do a board wipe. You have the mana open, you flip both of them, and then it dies and a ton of damage happens. So board wipes, there's a disguise card that when it flips, discard your hand and draw 3. That's a great way to keep the aggro going and also do some card draw without having to sacrifice a card draw slot.
Yeah.
There's also, in order to protect your cards a little bit, because they will sometimes push removal on the 2/2 with the ward. Expose the Culprit, I think, is a lot more flexible than people see. Expose the Culprit is 1 in a red. You could choose one or both. It's an instant. Turn target face down, creature face up, which is great at instant speed. And it also, you can exile any number of face up creatures you control with guys in a face down pile, shuffle that pile, then cloak them. If they do try to target your creature, just remove it and have it come back down. Once they see it's a pyro and they remove it, cast Expose the Culprit. It'll remove it, put it back face down, pay 1 more red, it deals another 3 damage to them, you still have your creature. It ends up being a protection spell. And also, if you happen to play that, that 7/6 with reach, you can flip it for 2. Also, the card draw one, I think, is like 4 or 5 mana to flip. So it's nice to just do it for 2 mana, instant speed, get your cards.
Yeah, no, this sounds awesome. Are there anything from older sets that you're pulling into this deck? Because it seems very murder centric. So
Yeah, I mean, it'll be just your removal spells. Put in some Bitter Triumphs, put in some shocks if you just want to get that little bit of extra damage in, and also early removal spells. I end up not running too many, like no board wipes and not too many removal spells, just because you don't actually have to swing in to kill people. And if you happen to get 2 pyros flipped, I mean, that second flip, so the first one deals 3, the second one deals 6, so that's already 9 damage, and then anything else you flip is like fucking
yeah,
game.
come on, yeah,
So you don't need that much removal, because at the end of the day, you're holding them up as blockers and you're flipping for the damage, and yeah, pretty
yeah,
straightforward,
love
simple
that.
aggro. Yeah. All right. The next one is not. I like how powerful it is, but it can easily be disrupted. So let me say that, beforehand. So I love the card Immodane, the Pyro Hammer,
Okay.
which is 2 red. It's a 4/4 creature. When an instant or sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature, Immodane deals that much damage to each opponent. So ultimately, deal damage to a creature. It then also goes to your opponent. It's nice, but there's not. I mean, a lot of the deals damage to a creature spells are 2 damage, 3 damage, and that's not going to end up ending a game. So, oh my god, hold on one second.
And we're back.
All right. Uh, so the 2 damage or 3 damage isn't going to win a game. And if you're spending 4 mana on this 4/4 with no protection whatsoever, you need to deal damage as fast as possible. So I like, although I know it's also 4 mana, which puts it in an awkward position, Sulfim Mayhem Dominus, which is a
Mhm.
5/4. And it says if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. So ultimately, whatever Immodane is dealing to the creature is getting doubled. And then that's getting sent to the opponent, which gets doubled. And I do believe it stacks like that. So if you deal 3 damage to a creature, it's really
Yeah.
dealing 6 damage, and then that
Yep.
6 is really 12 to the opponent
Yeah. Because the
because
3
doubling.
comes from double Sulfime doubles the lightning bolt, and
Hmm.
then Sulfime doubles the Immodane trigger, which is another 3.
Yeah. So
It'd only
there's
be
two.
6 to the opponent, no, right?
Well, no, the 3 would hit the creature but get doubled for 6, and then that 6 would get doubled for 12. Correct?
No.
Because the no.
Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature, just okay, hold on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it again.
Yeah, no,
So
no,
she,
definitely, definitely.
it
So it's
deals
going to deal that
double.
much damage to each opponent.
Yeah, no, it looks like that's the way you would do it. Yep.
Yeah. So my understanding is now, ultimately, you want to get that one spell that just one shot kills them. If you put this together, then the 2 removal spells that you want is either Stone Splitter Bolt, which has X and a red, bargain. It's going to deal X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that spell is bargained, it deals twice. So that's a good way of just putting 4 mana in. Sacrifice anything you got, and I'm going to tell you what you actually want to sacrifice. Sacrifice something, and it's going to deal 8 damage. The 8 becomes 16, and the 16 becomes 32. Boom. The other one, which is honestly a little easier, is Witch Stalker Frenzy, which is an instant that's 4 mana, deals 5 damage to target creature, but it's 1 less for each attacking creature. So all you need to do is your turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 creatures that are giving the feel that your deck is aggro, that you're going to have out here, swing with them. For 1 mana, cast this, and it deals 20 damage to your opponent right there. So, um, the card that helps get this feeling unclunky is Charming Scoundrel. And I'm going to say that this card can go in every deck that I talk about. Charming Scoundrel is going to be a staple of standard after rotation for sure. It is 1 in a red, 1/1 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, you can discard a card and draw a card, create a treasure token, or create a wicked roll token attached to target creature you control. The treasure token is what you want in this deck.
Okay.
The fact that you can turn 2, get her out, and possibly cast the Pyro Hammer turn 3, or if you don't need it, if it came a little late, you can make the wicked roll on her and use the wicked roll to sacrifice as the bargain for the bone splitter, and that'll deal 1 damage to them. And then you also get the bone splitter to be bargained. So she is the little utility that you drop before you drop your 2 big guys to finish the game.
You're describing a commander deck right now.
Yes,
This
in
isn't a
standard,
standard deck. This is a commander deck.
but it's in standard.
I struggle with the 2 4 drops,
Mm-hmm.
back to back, because I
Yeah.
feel like, depending on what you have like low to the ground, turn 4 you're playing one, turn 5 you're playing the other, and maybe shocking somebody for a bunch of damage, and then turn 6 is where it seems like you're actually
Well, so if you get the scoundrel out, turn 2. So turn 1, drop that little 1/1 goat that suspects itself. Now
okay.
it's a little aggro, it's pinging. Turn 2, you drop the scoundrel. It has haste. Maybe it can get through with the fight. Maybe it just ramps you. Turn 3, you drop the hammer. Turn 4, you drop the soul film or soul film, and you just swing out, and then, or you just sit there, or you do whatever you got to do. Turn 5, you do
That's
the
when
alpha
things
swing.
pop off.
But you don't need the soul film. Soul film, I'm saying soul film. You don't need it. All you need is the pyro hammer. So turn 3, you drop to pyro hammer. Turn 4, drop something like what's that new card that just came out where it gives a creature like +3/+3 and trample, and also a monster token, or +3/+3 and a monster token. You put that on a creature just to deal some damage, and then you pay the 1 mana for the Witch Stalker Frenzy. You destroy a creature. That way, the creatures do get through with the swing. You're still dealing 5 damage to your opponent. You aggroed them out now, and you don't need Soulfin. So, again, that's why I say it's clunky. I know that the 2/4 drops are rough, but a lot of times, if you drop the Scoundrel and you have the haste, maybe they use some removal on that because aggro is big right now. And then once you drop the 4/4s, they're like, oh man, well, I'll take care of it soon.
How many
And then you
copies
one
of
shot.
each are you running?
3 and 3. I think 4 of the pyro, because you definitely want that turn 3, and then 3 of the soul fem,
Okay.
because it's not necessary, but it is nice to have. And it's also 5/4. So worst comes worst, you just beat him to death with the soul fem. You can
I
give it
like
indestructible. You know.
I like the charming card because then you could pitch your extra pyro hammers to draw a
Yes.
card.
Yeah. Or if they're taking care of your 4 drops, just aggro them out. Give it a wicked token. It's the 2/2 with haste. Start hitting them. And when it dies, you still get to deal 1 more damage to them. That little goat can give her suspect. That way, she's just swinging in and dealing it. And this is definitely the jankiest of them. But
I see where your head's at.
I like a 1-shot kill. It's fun. It's fun. All
I
right,
think that would be fun as hell in Commander, though.
yeah,
Imodane as a
absolutely.
commander would be a lot of fun.
Except you have to hit 3 different people. You know, there's always
Deals that
someone
much damage to each opponent.
to each opponent. Really?
Yeah, that
To
much
each
damage to each
opponent.
opponent. So you just fill your deck
Oh,
with
buddy.
shocks, lightning bolts, all that not lava axe has to be a creature, but yeah. And then everyone
Dude,
gets the juice, and it still gets doubled by Soul Theme.
I love it. Yeah, gamble out your soul theme and
All right,
do your
someone's
thing.
running. Someone has to build this.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good time. It's so good. And I mean, and all the while you're dealing damage to the opponents, you're also killing the shit out of some creatures.
That's the
Like that.
best part. Because
Yeah.
that's what always keeps me from wanting to play like a burn commander deck, because you have to either focus all your juice on killing somebody, which is difficult in a burn deck because you run out of cards in hand, whatnot. Red's been getting better with that, but it's still one of the weaker colors in that regard. But this way you can not have to worry about, do I choose the face or do I choose creature? You always go creature every time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not even a question. It's both. Two
Awesome. All
birds,
right.
two birds in a hand or something in a bush.
I might actually have to
Uh,
put that together. I don't know. We'll see. That sounds
Yay!
awesome. That sounds fucking awesome.
Nice. I
And I
love
was
it. All right.
waiting for a spell slinger deck. I'm sorry. We gotta go on. We gotta go on.
No, I love it. Only deck 2, and I already sold you something. I love it. Okay, so the next one is something that I actually ran against. I did not put this together. It came against me organically in a standard deck, whooped my ass, and I was taken back. So War Leader's Call is an enchantment from Murders, 1 red, white, and it says creatures you control get +1/+1. Gnarly. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, War Leader's Call deals 1 damage to each opponent. So you play that turn 3, and then turn 4 you play Ogier Axonil, Deepest Might. 2 red, 4/4 with trample. If a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than Axon's power to an opponent, it's going to deal damage equal to Ogier Axon's power instead. When it enters, War Leader's Call triggers and says, "Okay, I got to deal 1 damage." But Ogier is a 5/5 because of the other creatures get +1/+1, and because only 1 damage gets dealt, it says, well, it has to be the power of Ogier. So every creature that enters, including Ogier, as soon as it enters, deals 5 damage to the opponent. it's it's crazy. It's crazy.
You had sent me this, and I was very impressed with like how it goes down. Because even if Oger or OG or whatever the fuck is your top end at 4, you're just playing like a bunch of 1 and 2 drops like under the War Leader's Call, which then get buffed when you drop the War Leader's Call. So let's say you get a 1/1 and a 2/2, then you turn 3, now you have a 2/2 and a 3. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that play pattern is awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, since you brought it up, I looked at the Boros Convoke deck because that's like the second most popular deck in like standard, and I know that's obviously skewed towards best of 3, and typically you're playing best of 1. And I'm surprised that they're not running it. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a great maybe some underappreciated tech, just having like 2 copies of that at your top end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's gonna be a standard staple soon. We are gonna see this more. Get ready for it. And this is another good scenario where if your turn 2 drop is the scoundrel, the charming scoundrel, you can make that treasure token. And then let's say you drop Ogier and it's near your next turn. There's that sorcery that sacrifice an artifact, make 3 goblins. What is that? Something destruction or
Yeah, Goblin
yeah.
shenanigans. That's
It's
what
yeah,
it's
it's
called.
it's running around in the Boros decks where you sacrifice an artifact, you make 3 goblins. But that next turn, all you do is you just cast that to sacrifice the 1 treasure that you made with the scoundrel, and it's 15 damage right there. You kill him right there. Now that's your 20. So this deck is really cool. It's very explosive, and you only need to run a few cards to make it work. Everything else can be of your choice. Your favorite removal spells, pet cards, power cards, medical, whatever it is. But this is something that can be built around. I mean, and hey, put Solfim in this too, and that 5 damage becomes 10 damage. You know, so
It's legit.
yeah. All right. Next deck I'm going to mention is Angsrag the Quake Mole. I wanted to make this work. I wanted to see where this went well. And the Quake Mole is 2 red green. It's an 8/4. When the Quake Mole becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. So you want to give it trample. It also says that you could pay 3 red, red, green, green, and Azrag must be blocked this turn if able. That's not too important. So the card that I want to team it up with is Fight Rigging
Of
from New
course.
Capenna, which says, Hideaway 5, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. If you have someone with a power 7 or greater, you may play the exiled card. Obviously, it's going to trigger it right away, but it doesn't give it trample. And it's also rotating soon. So my secondary choice would be Case of the Trampled Garden from Murders. It's 2 and a green. When this case enters a battlefield, put 2/1/1 counters among 1 or 2 other creatures you control. So you can put both of them on the mole. You could put both of them on something else. It doesn't matter. Put them wherever you want. To solve it, you have to have a total power 8 or greater, which you immediately have because the mole is out. And then once it's solved, whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature, and it gains trample until end of turn. So you drop this turn 3, you put 2 1/1 counters on your turn 1 or turn 2 drop. That's now a threat. And then turn 4, you drop the mole, and immediately this triggers. And then, you start putting more 1/1 counters, and it's a nice start for something that can really get overwhelming. And I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. I loved the mole when it got spoiled, so I'm glad to see that you're brewing with it.
Yeah, the fight rigging is definitely what you want to do with it first, but I really like the case um, as a turn 3 drop to just pump what else is happening, and then while they're handling this, 2 drop 4/4, you also have this 8/4 that's coming at them, and it'll have trample. So, a few cards that I kind of teamed up with this is because if you're building this, I'm sure you're going to have a bunch of other big creatures try to do other trample stuff. Hulking Raptor, I want to just shout out as 2 green green 5/3 with Ward 2. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add 2 mana. Just ramping you 2.
Yeah,
And it's a
that's not bad.
5/3.
With
And it
some
has
ward.
ward.
Yeah,
And it
ward's
has ward.
awesome.
Yeah. Um, Another card that can go with this is the Skull Spore Nexus, which is
Of
6 green
course.
green, X less, where X is the greatest power. So obviously you're gonna have an 8/4 out. It's just
So
gonna
it's
be 2
two.
mana.
Yeah.
And then when your mole does die, it makes an 8/8 fungus creature. Well, it'll be an 8/4 still. And then you can pay 2 mana to tap it to double target creature's power until end of turn. So if everything has trample and is getting 1/1s, you could just double it. It doesn't matter what blocks it, and you just pound down.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Skullsport Nexus is a cracked card. It's so good.
Yeah. And because it has 6 green green, I don't think people are picking up on it. It looks like it's an expensive card to cast, but for the most part, it's 2 mana. So the next one I want to mention is still green themed. I tried to cover all colors here, and I'm sorry. Let me take a sip of my beer. I'm really fucking going at this.
What are you drinking today? You didn't even mention.
Oh my god! Yeah, I know. I was so excited. Repping my EQ shirt. I'm drinking Savages and Savants from Equilibrium. It's delicious, and I got another tasty jam set up in the background, ready for me.
Hell yeah.
My next deck is actually Simic.
Oh.
Now, Simic seems like it wants to just produce a ton of mana and do X spells all day.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you guys can look at. That's something that, seems like it'll work. But I wanted to mention Ogier Castlum, the deepest growth, which is 3 green green. Trample. Whenever Ogier deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. You may put a creature card and or land card from among them onto the battlefield. And then when it dies, it flips into the land, all that stuff. Now, I like it paired up with Case of the Trampled Garden as well because of the trample that it can put on.
Yeah.
But what I really want to pair it up with is Virtue of Knowledge, which is
Ooh.
the blue enchantment from Wilds, 4 and a white. So it's
Part of blue.
instant for 4 and a blue. Its instant is Vantress Visions, which is 1 in a blue. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Ultimately, when you deal combat damage with the O'Hare, you cast this for 2 mana. You get that to trigger twice. You now get 2 fat creatures out. That's awesome. And then you can cast it later, and it says if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time. Now, that doesn't really help with O'Hare, but obviously the other creatures that you will be putting into the deck should have some ETBs. That way it'll take advantage of the second half.
Can we sidebar real quick?
Hit me.
Uh, I have heard that I think either something that was one of the teasers or maybe this was one of the spoiled cards, but that there's going to be it's a MaRo teaser. Yeah, okay, I have the list up. I'm pretty sure. It's there's going to be something that copies a legendary if like the ability of a legendary creature, like a Panharmonicon for legendaries. And do you feel like okay? I know we've talked about this before, but with this in this set plus the Mondrak plus Elish
Elish Norn.
Norn, do you feel like they're going super ham on these like Panharmonicon effects essentially? Tesa for death triggers, which is kind of a different flavor of the same thing.
Gandalf the White.
Yeah, it just seems like holy crap. I've seen the complaint online before and I didn't buy into it, but now just this kind of like this plus like the next set. It's like it's every other set we're getting something that doubles triggers.
Yeah. What they need to do is start making some cards and just tack them on some random enchantments, like a white enchantment that says if an ability would be copied, counter the copy.
Yeah, something along those lines. A stifle
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, because I'm okay with them keep on printing it. I love it. It is so fun to do this stuff. It's fun to make it work. I enjoy it. But if they are going to keep on printing it, let's get some
Let's get some hate
protection from the
spells.
removal. Yeah. Love hate.
Love hate.
Um Another little card to shout out for if you're going to build the Simic deck. Simic isn't my thing. I like O'Hare Castlum so much, and Virtue of Knowledge is the only way to get that to trigger a second time. Troyan Gutsy Explorer is 1 green blue, and it's a 1/3 that you can tap to add a green and a blue mana. You can only cast it for mana value 5 or greater spells or X. So to ramp 2, I mean, like turn 3, you drop this. Turn 4, you drop the Hulk. Turn 5, you're making 9 mana. You know, that's big. So you can go X spells on this for sure. There's also the Oko's Sun. The 2-drop says investigate, then play an extra land. So if that's your turn 2 drop, and you get to turn 5, you have 10 mana. You've doubled your mana by turn 10 if you
Yeah.
play this cast. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you do want to do huge mana things, it's definitely in Simic. All right, so the next one I'm going to mention, I actually built to test this one out because this was a little bit of a weird one.
Yeah. Okay.
The card that I want to build around is Vadric Astral Archmage. It will be leaving in rotation, but it's cool enough to give it a shot now. It's 1 blue red, 1/2 human wizard. If it's neither day or night, it becomes day, and as it enters the battlefield. Instants and sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is Vadric's power. So it enters as a 1/2. So once it's out, turn 3, everything you cast is 1 less. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a 1/1 counter on Vadric. Now, this is where you get to take advantage of him. Have a lot of instants in your deck. Turn 3, you drop him. Turn 4, your opponent casts, whatever. Turn, it comes back to you. You don't cast anything. You pass turn on their upkeep. It goes to night. This becomes a 2. Now everything's costing 2 less to cast. Your counter spells are way cheaper. Your card draw spells are way cheaper. Your protection. You now have something to start with. They're going to cast 2 spells because it's now their turn 4 or turn 5. They're trying to build their board. Brings it back to day. Now it comes back to your turn. He's a 3/4. That's nice. And everything costs 3 less. You can now cast Hit the Mother Load. 4 red, red, red. Discover 10. If the discovered card's mana value is less than 10, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the difference. So it's only 4 mana. Whatever you cast from here is going to be, just you have discover 10. So no matter what, you're going to get something at the end there, that treasure tokens. When it finally goes to your next turn, I mean, do it again. Cast some draw spells. They're going to be, quick study is 1 mana because of Vadric. Draw
Yeah.
2 cards. Cast, something else for super cheap. Maybe you run into another Hit the Mother Load. Cast another Hit the Mother Load. There's, copy spells in here. There's a lot of stuff that you could do to just get silly. Now, the 2 cards that I'd like to say is get Jin Cataxius, Progress Tyrant, into here.
Oh, never thought I would hear you say put Jin Gataxius in anything. Wow, look how far we just had to play standard. Who knew? And then now you're super down with it.
That's it, man. I'm getting saucy with this. But I love copying stuff. And all right, so he's 5 blue, which is 7 mana. But if you cast Hit the Mother Load, you have a bunch of treasure tokens, so it doesn't matter. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once this turn. Cast that Hit the Mother Load, you get 2 Hit the Mother Loads. You discover 10 times, you get 18 treasures, whatever's going on. It gets out of hand, and then your opponent goes to remove them, and he also says, whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery, counter that spell. This ability only triggers once. And every time I've gotten him out, my opponent goes to remove it. He counters what it moves, and then they just concede because they forgot that their first spell gets countered. They're so quick to remove it, it just happens. So it's a late game glass cannon deck, but if you have bounce spells and removal spells and all that good little shit, then you can get away with this. It really is doable, and that's why this is one of the few that I built. Is I wanted to make sure, like, hey, can I actually get away with this shit?
Yeah,
and it's real. It's real.
So funny, actually. Can I sidebar about this card?
Please get in there.
I actually saw a super cool budget CEDH deck using him as the commander.
Jinkataxis
Oh
or
no, Vadric.
Vast? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like the whole thing is turn one, you ramp out so that you could play him turn two. Turn two, you play him. Then you pass the turn, so he gets the counter. On your next turn, like turn three, and then on turn four you can win with there's two different
Win.
cards that yeah well there's two different cards that uh intuition and there's one other one where essentially it's a 4 mana instant that lets you search your library for 3 cards. An opponent chooses one of them, which you get to keep, and the other two get put in your graveyard or something along those lines. But essentially, the combo is you play those spells for free, essentially, and then you can win based on like what cards you pull out of your deck, like you combo out.
Huh. That's yeah. I mean, because it's this is an unassuming card. Honestly, I think it's underviewed because it's a 1/2 for 3, and it
Yeah,
removes one less. But once you see it in play, I mean, you just need it to go from day to night one time, and everything costing 2 less it's real. It is real, and there's a lot of shit to cast. So,
yeah, I considered building this myself actually, but yeah,
oh,
super cool.
nice. Yeah. Now I know it is leaving. It's not that Melik is a great replacement, but Melik reforged researchers 3 blue red. Its power and toughness are equal to twice the number of instant sorceries in your graveyards, so this guy can get fat.
Real
And
quick.
the first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn is 3 less. So it's not as good at all.
5 mana to cast though.
Yeah, but if turn 2 you cast your little scoundrel, you make your treasure, and turn 4 you can get him out.
Scoundrel, dude, the hot spec.
Yeah,
MTG Finance.
I'm telling you now, we're gonna see that little scoundrel just scoundreling
I
around
want to see what
everywhere.
it goes for.
And then while you're looking that up, I just want to shout out ill-timed explosion is the removal for this deck. If you're building this deck at
826.
all, ill less than $1,
Yeah.
I'm ordering 200 today, baby. I'm
There it
starting
is.
it.
Who
I'm
needs
just kidding.
Shiba Inu coin?
Yeah, right. I'll sell 200 million coins for some scoundrels, please. Don't worry, Dana. I'm a businessman doing
Yeah, this
business
is
things.
hot takes.
But okay, so ill-timed explosion is 2 red blue from murders. So this is a new card. It's a sorcery. Draw 2 cards. Then you may discard 2 cards. When you do, ill-timed explosion deals X damage to each creature, where X is the greatest value among cards discarded this way. If you're having an issue with mana or it's a slow start, and this comes to hand, run 2 or 3 of them. You get to draw 2 cards, so you're going to get your land, and then discard Jinkataxis, discard Hit the Motherlode, or discard Explosive Singularity, which is a 10 mana spell. And it's a guaranteed board wipe for everything. So it's a great way to draw cards and have a board wipe without having to use 2 different slots. And then if you cast Explosive Singularity, which is a 10 mana, deal 10 damage, if you happen to cast that off of Hit the Motherlode and Jinkataxis is out, it gets copied. Oh no, it wouldn't. You just have to cast it, but it'll deal 20 damage. Or Hit the Motherlode just casts this for its Discover 10 and it deals 10.
True.
So, man, you got to play some standard.
Yeah, no, it's looking cool. It's looking cool. You've definitely intrigued me with some of the
Awesome.
builds that are going on.
Awesome. We only have about 3 or 4 more. So let's do this.
3 or 4 more builds or cards?
Builds.
Ah, word.
We'll do them
Word.
quick. The last ones are going to go quick. But all right, so Throne of the Grim Captain. I'm going to fucking tell you how to do it.
Trash card. Don't want to hear about it.
Meet me out. Catch me outside. I'll show you. Throne of the Grim Captain is a 2 mana, tap to mill 2 cards. It's a legendary artifact. Craft with a dinosaur, merfolk, pirate, and vampire. And when it flips, it's a 7/7 menace, trample, lifelink, hexproof. Whenever it attacks, each opponent sacrifices a permanent they control, which is awesome. And then you get to have one of the creatures that you exiled with it come out tapped and attacking. Now, here's what you want with it. Atali the Primal Conqueror is your number 1 dinosaur. When you swing with him, you want Atali to come out. attacking. So he swings as a 7/7 lifelink. Your opponent has to sacrifice something. Atali comes out. You get to cast something from each deck. That is a lot of value off of just swinging with a creature. Kitesail Larcenist is the pirate you want. It is a 2/3, 3 mana 2/3 flying ward 1. When it enters, choose a creature or artifact on your side and a creature or artifact on their side. They become treasures. So it's a great way to ramp you if you need it. Otherwise, it's just a removal spell for them.
Removal, yeah.
And it has ward 1. Ward is huge. The Vampire's Voldaren Epicure. It is your turn 1 play for 1 red, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to your opponent. You make a blood token. That blood token is a great way to get the Atali into your graveyard or whatever you need into your graveyard while also getting a card draw.
Okay.
And then the Merfolk is River Herald Scout. It's a 1 and a blue, 1/2. It's your turn 2 play. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. If you reveal one of the 4 creature types, put it right into the graveyard. River Herald gets bigger. You have one more thing in your graveyard. Now, craft, let me just say, is anything on the battlefield or graveyard. So you could dump things in the graveyard, and that's what you can craft with. Now, the biggest way to do this is with Brass's Tunnel Grinder. You have your hand. You played your 1 creature, your 2nd creature, turn 3. Brass's Tunnel Grinder comes out. You dump your entire hand. Doesn't matter what's in it. Dump your whole hand. Draw fresh. You now have a bunch of more of these creature types in the graveyard. You have a better chance of having the throne in hand. And you get that baby flipped, man. And it's game over. Once you flip a throne for the first time, you'll never go back. You just
Yeah.
keep on flipping.
I love the Atali plan. So essentially Atali is like your win con. Like the Atali's like the swing that you want to make. And that Kitesail and Kitesail's removal, but then the other two, the Epicure and the Scout really are just
The startup.
Yeah, like the first. Okay, no, I like this a lot. I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see if you ran any other. Do you run any other Merfolk or do you run any other vampires?
Yes. There's a 3-drop vampire that when you attack, you can if you deal damage, it gets first strike, and when it dies, you can make a blood token, which again, the blood tokens are good in this deck.
Yeah.
There's the Merfolk, the 3 mana flash that when it enters, you can counter a triggered ability, and then it can't happen anymore. And which is the way to handle Shieldred. It goes to your turn, or they draw a card on their turn, and you flash that out. It counters their gain life or your lost life, and then it can't happen again. It turns off Shieldred completely.
Yeah.
So that's a great second Merfolk to play. There's a second pirate that as long as you have an artifact out, which you'll have blood tokens, when you play it, tap down target creature an opponent controls. There's a 3-drop pirate that when it enters the battlefield, make a treasure token. That's simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
And then for dinosaurs, there is the Cycle Dinosaur, that 6 mana 6/6 with trample that you can pay 2 mana to cycle and dump it immediately in the graveyard.
So my concern, though, my concern,
Yes.
and you could tell me as having played it. I'm assuming you've played this.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't the deck therefore mostly just like 4 of these, and then there's not really room for anything else? You know what I mean? Because don't you need like a essentially like 8 dinosaurs, 8 pirates, 8 whatever? You know what I mean? Like, isn't the deck full of just the things to make it go?
Yes, it's 6, 6, 6, and 6, and then a whole bunch of the tunnel grinders. And if you end up not getting it flipped, believe it or not, this the curve of the small 1-drop all the way up to the 7-drop really helps you out. And then tunnel grinder is going to flip quick, because even if like you're not doing too much, things aren't dying, there's a chance you're going to have the throne out. You're running 4 thrones, and you can at least tap it to mill 2. And then when it mills 2, it triggers descent, and by turn 3 with it, you get it flipped as a land. And then if you cast an Atali, you're also going to discover 7 with the tunnel grinder.
Yeah.
So you get a tally, you get it. So yes, it sounds like it's very centralized on the throne, but you will win a lot of games with just the fact that you have those creatures. And there is removal in there, and there's some bounce spells and this and that. But um, once you get that throne flipped and you swing, and they have to sacrifice a creature, a tally comes out, or let's say you just put out the merfolk, the captain, the pirate, and it removes something. They have to sacrifice something. Now they can't
Yeah.
block the 7/7. So it works out really well.
Okay, cool. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, that's the probably the funnest deck, and the one I recommend to build the most because it's pirates and merfolks. All right, so my next one is actually Vein Ripper. Everybody remember, Vein Ripper is in standard. This is a standard card that you could
For a
just,
long time, for years.
yeah, get ready. So you have Vein Ripper, which is a 3 black, 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 6/5 flying. Ward is sacrifice a creature, and whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2. You gain 2 life. So the creature they have to sacrifice in order to target it, and then Vein Ripper dying also. So a single target removal on Vein Ripper is they lose 4, you gain 4 at its
Yeah.
base. Play it with Bloodletter of Aclazotz. 1 black, black, black. 2/4 vampire demon with flying. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, during which life during your turn, they lose twice that damage instead. Swing out with the Vein Ripper. Your Vein Ripper is now dealing 12 damage. Cast a board wipe. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Just cast a whole board wipe.
Ruin
Kill
everyone's
everything.
day.
Win. Right there. So it's just those two right there. If you can turn 4, drop Bloodletter, turn 5 or turn 6, cast Vein Ripper, then you can do it. There's a 1-drop black creature that when it dies, make a treasure token and scry 1. Make that treasure token early and just let it sit there. That way, turn 4, you drop the Bloodletter. Turn 5, you drop Vein, and then it's pretty quick and easy. Now, don't forget Beseech the Mirror, 1 black, black, black. If you bargain, can bring out Bloodletter of Azkalotz. So it's almost like you can run 8 of the Bloodletters. And also it gets Archfiend of the Dross, which also says at the beginning of your whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, a controller loses 2 life.
So
So
this
you
is
can
mono
just
black, right? Like there's so
yes,
many
yes.
black pips. It's like every black pip.
Yeah, which allows you to put in the Shield Druids if you want. You know,
Yeah.
put in the dirtiest of black cards, and once you start dropping these 3, this holy trinity of death and blackness, it's gonna end pretty quickly. And also, don't forget about Not Dead After All, which is 1 black mana. Until end of turn, if a creature you control would die, return it to the battlefield with a Wicked roll on it. So they finally they cast their spell to remove Vein Ripper. They sacrifice a creature. You sacrifice Vein Ripper, but before it goes, you cast for 1 mana Not Dead After All.
Ah,
Now they taken 4, you take 4, and then it comes right the fuck back out
that's sad.
with +1/+1 to their power toughness.
Yeah,
So,
that's devastating.
yeah, huge. And then if you want to splash in red, you can also run Calicel Sword just for the ability to burn together. Sacrifice a target creature you control, deals damage to any
Any other
target,
target?
and then sacrifice it. So Vein Ripper swings, deals 6 damage. You sacrifice it, it deals 6 more damage. And then 2 damage because Vein Ripper died. So that's 14 damage. But let's say you also throw that Not Dead After All and it comes back anyway. Fuck it. All right. I have the deck that I want to mention the most, but my little small mention is keep an eye out for fungus and sapperlings. The Myco Tyrant, which is 1 black green, star, trample, elder fungus. Uh, elder fungus, I like that.
Hell yeah.
The Myco Tyrant's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungus and or sapperlings. At the beginning of your end step, create X11 black fungus creature tokens, where X is the number of times you've descended this turn. So this whole deck has to be about descent. Right now, there are not many fungus, not many sapperlings, not many ways to make them. But this is all about just having a bunch of creatures that you dump, and you want to dump it. There is Cemetery Tempering that's still in standard. I also want to shout out, I tried so hard to find a place for Tarian's Journal, and this is where it goes. Tarian's Journal is 1 in a black, legendary artifact. Tap it, sacrifice another artifact or creature, draw a card, or pay 2, tap it, discard your hand, and transform Tarian's Journal. You just dump your whole hand and then it turns into a land, which is not powerful. You can tap that land to cast a creature spell from your graveyard, and it gets a finality counter. But I like it because there's a card called Akawali, the Seething Tower, which is also 1 black green 3/3 fungus. If you've descended 4, Seething Tower has +2/+2 in trample. If you have descend 8, which is 8 permanents in your graveyard, it gets an additional +2/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So at that point, it's a 7/7, can only be blocked by 1 trampler. And then Myco Tyrant, as you're doing all this, is just making a ton of little funguses that make Myco Tyrant's power and toughness huge, which also has trample. And then there's also Squirming Emergence, which is also 1 black green. Return to the battlefield target non-land permanent card in your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. So you're dumping everything. Any way to dump stuff, dump it. And also have like a Toxrill or just some big bad creature that you could bring back for 3 mana with Squirming Emergence.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's not yet, but it will be.
It sounds like fun. It sounds interesting and different.
Yeah. They got to get more fungus out there. So hopefully in Bloomborough we get friendly little fungi that we can put into this deck and make that happen. Yes, please and thank you. Okay, I got one more deck and then I will shut the fuck up about this. And this is the deck that I personally think that you would like the most. I like this deck a lot, and the triggers that happen when I was playing this were absolutely fantastic. So the deck is built around Delny Streetwise Lookout, which is another murders card. Let me just pause right here. A lot of these cards I'm mentioning is murders. I have a lot of hope and potential for this set. I know that you were saying that these packs are cheap. Maybe pick up some cards while this set is underappreciated.
Sleeper set.
For sure. This
reminds me of
the Capenna.
Yes. I was going to say, Capenna did the same thing. The land shot up. I mean, that's basically really all that shot up, but some of the cards were worth some money.
Yeah, they get some play. But okay, so Delny Streetwise Lookout is 2 and a white, 2/2. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Great way to get in with a little damage. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Any trigger, it triggers. Let's do it. The turn 1 drop is Snarling Gorehound. It's a 1 black, 1/1 with menace. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, surveil 1. The surveil is huge because this is a low CMC deck, and a lot of times you cannot waste any draws getting your 5th, 6th, 7th land.
Yeah.
It can't happen. The other turn 1 is Greedy Freebooter. That's that 1 black mana 1/1. When it dies, scry 1 and create a treasure token. It's a great first start also. Now your turn 2 drop is Ellis Ilkor Sadistic Pilgrim, which is white black 2/2 with Death Touch. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you can gain under your control, gain 1 life. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Now keep in mind, every trigger I've mentioned this turn, these are happening twice when Delny's out.
Yep.
The other, so you drop that out. Turn 3, you drop down Delny. And then let's say turn 4, you drop down Deep Cavern Bats, which says, look at your opponent's hand, put one of them underneath Deep Cavern Bats until it leaves. Delny says do it twice. So you're pulling 2 cards of your choice from your opponent's hand for 2 mana to get a 1/1 with lifelink. When it enters, Snarling Gorehound is also going to have you surveil 2. So you just got 4 triggers from casting that 2 mana little bat.
Yeah, it's huge.
Or cast Brutal Cathar. You're going to exile 2 creatures on the battlefield because he's only a 2/2. And that removes 2 creatures, and you're going to get the surveil 2. Inspiring Overseer enters. You're going to gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, and then surveil 2. Tomic Wielder of Law.
Hell yeah.
Your commander. 1 white black 2/4. Flying Vigilance. Whenever opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers, opponent loses 3 life and you draw a card. They're going to lose 6 life and you're going to draw 2 cards. And you have protection from their bigger creatures. So you can swing out, hit the hell out of them. They can't block you. And then
Yeah.
they're going to want to have to swing at you because their creatures are useless, not being able to block. And if they do swing at you, they're going to lose 6 and you're going to draw 2. And whatever you block with, like let's say you block with the greedy freebooter, your opponents are going to lose 2 life from Ellis Ilkor. You're going to get 2 treasure tokens, and you're going to scry 2. You know,
That's a hell of an aristocrats engine.
dude, it is awesome. And the other card I can shout out to is Wisp Drinker Vampire, which is 2 white black, which is the top of your curve as a 2/4 flyer. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, or loses 2, you gain 2. So these are just like the few options that I'm playing with. There's obviously a ton of creatures like Inti, uh, Sentinel of the Sun, where whenever you attack, you may discard a card. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It gains trample until end of turn. You can do that twice. Reckless Detective is 1 in a red. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So you'll be able to discard 2, draw 2. It also gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each time. So it's going to end up getting +4/+0. So it'll be a 4/3 every time it attacks while allowing you to draw 2. It This little creature is so good. Delny allows so much to happen with so
Delny's
little.
cool.
And then you can run 19 or 20 lands.
Yeah,
like,
it's low.
I'm running 22 lands and it's too many. I need to lower my curve. So let's say 20, 21, 19 if you're feeling crazy. But it's good. And also don't forget, Preacher of the Schism also is a 2/4. So when
Great
you
card.
attack with a Preacher, you're going to get 2 triggers of whatever's happening. So you can put a Liliana of the Veil if you want. You could put any Planeswalker to help get Delny down to 2 mana. You have access to all the best removal. You have access to good card draw. I mean, this is the deck I'm having the most fun with. I do want to shout out Treacherous Greed, also 1 white black as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature that dealt damage this turn. Draw 3 cards. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. So that dumb little 1 mana pirate, you swing with it, you deal some damage to it, you sack it, you get your 2 treasures, you scry your 2, you lose 3, your opponent loses 3, and you gain 3, and you draw 3 more cards. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
it's huge.
Treacherous Greed is going to get played. Get Lost is the best removal. Destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Its controller creates 2 map tokens. Fuck it. Give them the map tokens. You can remove anything you need to.
Well, yeah, no, you know me. My heart lies in Orzhov aristocraty type stuff. So I love Delny. I love Delny since I first saw her. So or him, I don't know. Looks
It's a
not
her, I
sure.
think.
I think it's a her. Anyway, yeah. No, love that. I think that deck would be a lot of fun to play, and I'm actually very tempted to put it together myself.
Yeah, dude, I recommend it. I mean, a lot of the cards I mentioned for that deck, I mean, besides Delny being mythic, I mean, Inspiring Overseer is a common. Ellis Ilkor is an uncommon. Greedy Freebooter's a common. Snarling Gorehound's common. Deep Bat's uncommon. Like, so you can get away with a lot of this for cheap.
Yeah, for cheap. Well, word.
Yeah, man.
Great builds.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and one more card just to shout out. Besides, Expel the Interlopers is the best removal you have right now after rotation. 3 white. Choose a number between 1 and 10. Destroy all creatures with power greater. That way, if you are running Delny and you have all these 2 power creatures, destroy everything bigger. Fuck it. Get them out of there. You keep your stuff. But also keep an eye out for Zoyawa's Justice, which is 1 in a red. The owner of target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into the library, then discover X. It's a great removal spell in red to get rid of, creatures that are power and toughness bigger than 3 or 4.
Yeah. Well, you could feasibly damage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great way to get rid of them big baddies, and it gets past indestructible. And if you have to, if they are going to remove something on your board, you can Zoyawa's Justice your own creature and discover equal to the CMC. So it's not only removal, it can be not really protection as much as it is, let me make the most of a bad situation.
Yeah. Nice picks.
Yeah, thanks. And now the big thing is, after Bloomborough comes out, we'll give it 3 or 4 episodes, and then I would like to return to this episode and see if any of these cards or decks have become
Yeah,
more well known.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then we
this is
could
the
say we heard
groundwork.
it here first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's
Or
go.
it's still just Shieldred and
Yeah, right.
Domain,
Like
and I can
nothing's
go fuck
changed.
myself.
Rafine.
Yeah, but Rafine would be out. Rafine's
Oh
out.
yeah,
That's a
Rafine's
definite.
gone.
Rafine's gone. Dominaria is out too. You said, right? Or is that the one
No,
that stays
Damu
in?
is here till next year.
Oh, okay. All right. So we still got all that.
Yeah.
All right. Well. All right. That was a lot, man. I'm sorry. just I just I've been
No,
looking at these cards all week, and I was so
this is
excited
the
that I have
brewing.
this.
This is the brewing in the multiverse. You've
Yeah,
interested me.
yeah,
You sussed out strengths and weaknesses. I think this is all good stuff.
yeah, yeah. Listen, this is me trying to sell Standard to as many people as possible. For anybody who doesn't believe it's a good format, go build any of the million decks out there. And I tried to pick cards that really are not being played at all. There's a ton of cards that are being played that you can build around too. You know, I just
Yeah.
tried to keep it the unseen staples of Standard.
Unseen staples of standard.
Yes, and on
That's the
that,
spot.
we hitting that fun or trash.
All right. What do you got for
And
me?
I have a card that actually I
Trash.
think you got to see put into play. Get ready. Metzalanti the Great Door from Ixalan. It
Okay.
is a 3-mana legendary artifact. You can tap it to draw a card, then discard a card, and then you can pay 4 mana and tap it to transform Metzalanti the Great Door. Activate only if there are 4 or more permanent types among cards in your graveyard. So Delirium.
Okay.
And when it flips to a legendary land, that lets you tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. What do you think about this 3-mana draw a card and discard a card that allows you to possibly transform it for big mana?
I need to look at it. How do you spell Mexalanti?
Matzalantli, the Great Door.
Okay.
Metzalantli. So I
Yeah,
actually
a
I
lot of these
played.
cards I don't know how to fucking say.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the Ixalan set was a
Even
rough one.
Chamil, I'm like, is it Chamil? Is it Chimel? Is it Chimil? Is it Chimil? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you name it whatever you want to name it. But so I played this. Oh no, you weren't there for that. I played this against Connor and Melissa, and I got it to flip pretty fast, and it was tapping for 11 mana when I had it out. Because it's any
Okay.
permanent lands in the graveyard, artifacts, enchantments, creatures. It can tap for
That's,
a lot.
I would say fun. I'm going to go with fun on this one.
Mm,
I'm going to go with fun on this one.
I
I don't see a
did.
problem. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it more for Commander, obviously, because everything I think
Yes.
about is Commander.
Yes.
But, having loot on a stick for 3 isn't bad. And then for 4, it turns into a land. If you're playing any sort of like graveyard like I could see myself shoving this in my whatchamacallit, my Drana Reanimator deck.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Drana. Can you add this in your colorless deck? Yes, you can, right? Because it'll make any
Yes.
one color, but it won't do colorless, so you have
Yeah,
to be
but not
careful.
there's only so many costs that are like actually
Yeah,
colorless, and every
yeah,
land essentially makes that. So if a couple
yeah,
don't, it's not a problem.
yeah. I mean, this is a decent card draw for a colorless deck.
Which really struggles with it. It's one of the biggest struggles, and also it's low to the ground, Which
Yeah.
the other thing is, being low to the ground is, the game doesn't really start for my Eldrazi deck until like turn 5.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. And yeah, just to siphon in a little bit, and then,
Yeah, I
like I
like this
said,
card a lot. I'm gonna add this to my pick it up
yeah,
pile.
yeah, it's $1.79 from what I see. Um, and I played it in Murder Massacre Girl because it's my artifact deck, and like I said, it happened very quickly. It was tapping for 11 mana. It was it helped more than I thought it was. I ordered it for the fun of it, and it proved out so impressive that I had to mention it to you.
Yep, I like it.
Don't do this in standard though.
No,
Trash
yeah,
card in
it's
standard.
terrible in standard.
And then the last thing that I do want to say, which I guess I didn't make a banner for it, was when I ordered my deck, my commander decks, a lot of the cards that are coming in are, and I don't know if you can see it, are foiled. So I just, optimized my cart and ordered them. And it seems that a lot of the cards now, the foils are cheaper than the non foils.
Yeah, that can happen.
It's happening more than I thought. I mean, these are two different sets. I have a Crimson and I have a March. I also had another card just come in like that. Like they're sending out more foils than non-foils for the cheap. And
It's
that's
the
just something.
combination of collector's packs and curling.
Mm, right, because the curling means if you're playing these in formats and tournaments and events, you shouldn't really have foils, right?
Yeah, I mean some foils are okay, but like more, it seems like Wizard more frequently than not they tend to curl a little bit.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Well, I like it. I love my foils. I don't play tournaments or events.
Yeah, so it's
And the
not a big
fact that
deal.
they keep on sending me, like, I got a foil Helena and Elena for like $2.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So this is a card I'll never get rid of. This is, I've wanted one for a while. Troy plays this all the time. And I always thought they were going to be a little too expensive, especially for foil. And the fact that I have one now, I'll keep that. It's always value. Listen, keep on making shitty foils. Do it all day.
Make
I'll take a
shitty
shitty foil for
foils.
cheap. Yeah.
That should be the clip for this episode. Make shitty foils.
Yeah. Dear
Make
Wizards of the
shitty
Coast.
foils.
Fucking, I want them. I want them full Pringle, please, and thank you, because I'll take bargains any day.
Mm.
I'm that guy who signed up for the Ugly Fruits monthly box.
Oh yeah. Get those deformed. We love them. We love them all.
Yeah, yeah. Please, I'll. The uglier, the better. They taste better when they're uglier. Motto of life. And on that note, I think
Yeah,
we
that's
reached
the bottom of the glass.
Oh man, thank you for bearing through this with me. This was a fun one for me. I hope it was informational for everybody out there playing standard, thinking they need to build Shieldred decks. There's a lot out
There's a
there.
lot out there for you.
Oh my God! Listen, War Leaders Call and old Ogier of the
Yeah,
Red.
dirty.
Yeah. All right, man. I will see you next week, same time, same place in the multiverse. Take it easy.
Take it easy.